Everyone from the educators who taught and guided these young men, to their friends and to their classmates who will feel their absence every day as the school year continues. Our hearts go to the communities who came together this week to support the schools in this time. I want the whole community at Simeon to know that Chicago Public Schools will do everything in our power to continue to support you as you move forward. I also want to be clear that the safety of all of the students and staff at the district is our top priority. And we take any threats that are made against any of our schools extremely seriously, including those on social media. And we are working closely with the Chicago Police Department to investigate these threats thoroughly. Every single threat is investigated thoroughly. I want to remind everyone, threats like these are crimes. And our goal is to do whatever we need to do to make sure that we are investigating them so that our schools can be safe. I know that our families across the district who have seen these threats this week are concerned for their children's safety. And I want to briefly explain some of the steps that the district has taken in partnership with our colleagues at the Chicago Police Department and other city agencies to make sure that these students come across no harm. First of all, Chicago Police Department has been providing extra attention, extra presence at our schools, particularly at dismissal. Chicago Transit Authority has been assisting us in providing bus staging at dismissal so that students can promptly enter the buses and head home safely. Chicago Public Schools, my department, the Office of Safety and Security, has been working to have extra security presence at the schools during the week. We ask for family support and in encouraging their children to report anything that they see that is suspicious. If they have anything that they hear, they should report that to a trusted adult or a teacher at the school that they feel comfortable sharing that with. We also ask everyone to try to avoid, at all possible, of spreading misinformation. We know that when people see things, they want to let others know. However, unsubstantiated rumors can cause a great deal of harm to an already stressful situation. And so we need everyone to do their best to report that to the school so that we can then, in partnership with Chicago Police Department, investigate these situations. Again, I want to thank the school community at Simeon. I want to thank all of our principals and teachers across the district for their support during this difficult week. Our partners at Chicago Police Department for working together to provide students and the staff here with a safe environment, the environment that they deserve. It's been a traumatic week for everyone.
I'm sorry, we've lost the audio. I apologize.
Is it back?
It's going in and out. I'm sorry, can you say that, please?
Just repeat it again.
I heard that.
You back? You good?
Yeah, we're all good.
Okay. I know that pulling together, moving forward, we will emerge stronger during this challenging time. With that, I would like to turn it over to Superintendent David Brown from the Chicago Police Department.
Thank you, Jadine, and thank you, Dr. Harper here at Simeon High School. We're here, first of all, to offer our deepest condolences to the families of these young people who were tragically, fatally wounded by gunfire. We're here to show our support, to do our job in protecting young people coming and going from school, on campus and off campus. But we're also here to update you on the investigations of both of those incidents, as well as update you on what we've done regarding the social media threats, as well as our deployment strategy at all of the schools that have received threats. So we've got various updates. I think we're going to start with Chief Cato over our Counterterrorism Bureau to update on what's transpired regarding the social media threats that many of the schools have received today. And then I'll come back at the end and take just a few questions. Thank you. Few questions on topic. Thank you.
I'd like to also extend my condolences to the Simeon family for their loss and the violence that's affected this school. In addition to all the social media threats that have been going out, we've had multiple social media threats go out throughout the city of Chicago, affecting multiple schools from the west side of Chicago all the way to here to the south side of Chicago. The threat here on the south side of Chicago struck a deep wound in the Simeon family. We put together one team. We worked as one team with the school and other resources. By continuing to focus on social media, we're able to identify the subject who was making multiple threats on social media that not only affected this school, affected other schools. We utilize our resources effectively and efficiently, identifying this subject in one of the far south side suburbs. This subject is presently cooperating with the Chicago Police Department. I'm now going to turn this over to Chief Dinahan, who will go into the investigation.
All right, thanks, Chief. I'll be pretty brief on these investigations. I know a lot of people, we already know what happened. But on the 21st of September at approximately 3:30 p.m. at 83rd and Holland was when we had a juvenile 16-year-old that was shot and killed very close to a bank, just about a block away from here. He was standing outside with several of his friends after school, and a gunman had approached and began firing and then fled the scene. So we need a lot of help with this case. So I know we've done this before, but we're looking for any tips and clues that the public or any intelligence information that can be given to the detectives to help assist with this investigation. We definitely need the public's help in helping identify this offender. And then approximately 3 hours later at 51st and Harper, there was another student, 15 years of age, who was shot in the head and killed. And at that incident, this individual was at a gas station with his friends. They were pumping gas when they saw another group of individuals near a McDonald's. And at that point, the two groups were basically kind of staring at each other. This group that the victim was in, they got in their car to flee, and a member from the other group shot and caused this victim's death. So the detectives are working very hard on that case. We do have some promising leads on that case, but once again, there's definitely people out in the community that have information. There's definitely people that know who committed these crimes, and the detectives need those tips, and we can receive them anonymously. We need all the information that anybody can give us to help solve these crimes quickly. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Snelling, and I'll let you know what we're doing proactively.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Deputy Chief Snelling. Last name is Snelling. Immediately after the shooting that occurred at 83rd, Commander Sonora Ben put a plan of action in place. She met with the school officials, figured out what she needed to put in place. We had several vehicles, marked vehicles, show up and deploy around the school. Moving forward, shortly thereafter, there were threats that went out all across the city to all of the other schools. The district commanders that were affected by these threats in their districts immediately put a safety plan in place for those schools. Even though we're finding out that a lot of these threats were frivolous, when we get a threat, we take it seriously. Every threat is taken seriously, especially when it's involving a school. It's important to understand that there are a lot of lives on the line. If we don't take it seriously, something bad could happen, and we don't want that to happen. We want to be out in front of it. So moving forward, we're going to continue these safety plans in and around the school. We'll reassess as threats come in, because we believe that they probably will. We'll get more, we'll get copycat offenders. But the Chicago Police Department and the Bureau of Patrol is dedicated to making sure that the kids in this city are safe, that the schools are safe, and with that effort, we will continue throughout the rest of the school year. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to the superintendent.
Before I take questions, let me just add that at this point, all of the threats that we've received through social media at the schools that we've identified have not been credible. But as we've mentioned, we're taking each and every threat very seriously. And we're deploying police officers to provide additional presence before school, during school, and of course after school to make sure the students at Chicago Public Schools are safe. And with that, we'll take a few questions on topic. Yes.
What were the nature of the threats?
Various threats about gun violence at the school was really predominantly the threats that were on social media. It began with an old social media post from another state that someone reposted in Chicago. That's the person we have in custody that reposted and continued to post threats in Chicago Public Schools, and we're seeking the highest possible charge that's appropriate for the behavior. Yes.
That individual that you had in custody that you're speaking of from the South Suburb, I know you can't go into details, but is that a school-age person?
It's an adult. It's an adult who, for various reasons, has sent out several threats, a pretty prolific number of threats. And his background is he's on electronic monitoring for the same type of charges of threats in an adjoining city to schools. So we're pursuing the highest possible charge. We're continuing to interview this person, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to bring charges.
And he's in custody, right?
He's in custody being interviewed as we speak. Yes.
Before I get my question, his motivation was just to see police hammer, or what was it?
Fear is likely the bottom line to why a person would do something like this. It's obviously caused a lot of concern. Parents to be concerned about their kids at schools. Really tragic that person, after Chicago's experienced these two tragic deaths of young people here at Simeon, that someone would now start posting on social media threats to stir further fears in parents.
So on the, unfortunately, the two banks and the nail salon, I know the nail salon's video wasn't working, they had a situation with FBI 6 months ago, but what about all the other video cameras? Is anything there are they able to help you out? And if so, will you be giving us some pictures to show there some activity?
We're not at that point yet. As Chief Dinahan said, we're continuing to look for other video, as well as hopefully solicit witnesses who may have firsthand knowledge of what happened. So please come forward if you have any information regarding what you saw on both incidents. But right now, we're not at the point to share the video. We have some leads on the shooting that Chief Dinahan referenced. We need help on the other shooting. We don't have any leads at this point, so we need to solicit help from others. Yes.
Just to clarify on the first student who was shot, Chief Dinahan, you said 16. Jamari Williams was previously given was 15. Is that message updated?
We'll get back to you with the correct answer. The information I have in front of me, I did say 16, but we'll get back to you with the correct date of birth, because I know it changed.
With how many high schools total receive these threats? Are you able to name specific schools or give us a number of how many schools are?
We'll get you a list of names of all the schools that receive threats and are receiving extra patrols and extra presence from the Chicago Police Department. Last question, yes. Yes.
Do you have any social media information the second video of guns, gang signs, something like that?
There is some social media that's out there that we're comparing, to see if it was one of these victims. So I don't want to specifically talk about which one, but yes, there's social media out there, and I know it's out there. So we have the information, and it's a possible motive to what has occurred, but the investigation will tell us as we move forward.
The question for CPS, can you clarify how many students, if any, the attendance here at Simeon over the last few days, was it down, was it up to par? What exactly, since you had that fear from from many of the families that you were addressing. What was attendance like here this week?
So, at Simeon, I don't have the exact numbers for you right now. We can get back to you on that, but I'll just share that understandably, we did have lower attendance. It's important, as Superintendent Brown said, the threats that have been presented forward to so far have not been deemed credible, and the hope is that will help parents feel more comfortable sending their children to school tomorrow.
That was the last question we could take, but I wanted to close with another ask of the public to come forward with any information you have that might help us bring these offenders to justice, to give some sense of peace to these families. Thank you very much.